We got a special edition of Coug Fan TV brought to you by the Couch GM. Esa Pole joining us live. He's getting ready to prepare for the NFL draft that's coming right around the corner. You're in the East-West Shrine game. I guess let's start right there. What was that experience like for you, and kind of matching yourself up against your opponents and individuals that play near you.
I mean, it was a really crazy experience. I mean, for starters, I was put on the East team, so I'm teammates with all these guys that are from the East Coast. So I got a little taste of what it's like on the other side of the country, and just getting to know these guys, and it was a good experience. Just not only what we did on the field, obviously, but just the opportunities that they opened our eyes to off the field. They were big on our mentality, and what we can take mentally. They put us through like a strenuous schedule in terms of meetings and interviews and talking to a bunch of teams. So like I think I got so much out of that experience more than just the game. Like they call it the Shrine Bowl, talking about how the game went and practices. But I think the biggest upside of that event was just how much they put on us off the field. And yeah.
So it's
Without going too much into detail on it, if there's things you can't say, but I mean, kind of explain, I guess, what that schedule is like to the common fan.
I mean, I don't think I woke up around 6 or so on the long days. Woke up around 6 or 7, getting ready for practice when we were starting practice, and I don't think I got back to my room till like 9 p.m. And um, just starting with practice, obviously you got to get there a little early so you can hit the bus. They offered breakfast before, but that was a short window, so you kind of wanted to get there as soon as breakfast was offered, so you can get a good little breakfast in. Then the drive itself to the facility, North Texas University's facility, just to practice was already like a 30 to 40 minute drive. So that took some time. So obviously you got to keep your mind prepared for practice, and then you get there, you get pre-practice, get your tape, then you go through the whole practice, which is about an hour and a half long. Then obviously cooling it down, taking that drive back, and then probably get like an hour or so, hour and a half just to relax. But sometimes you don't, because sometimes the team wants to talk to you, or Shrine Bowl guys want to set up an interview. They'll text you on their phone. Everyone has your number, so just keeping you on your toes, keeping you moving. Downtime was there, but wasn't always given, if that makes sense. And what else? More interviews. Then we also obviously had to go over the film for practice, so we met up with the coaches at a certain time. Um, After that, then we're off for dinner, and then even more interviews, just talking to more teams, or if the Shrine Bowl themselves wanted to talk to you. Um, and I think my story kind of being what it was, obviously not playing in high school, a lot of the guys really wanted to talk more into that. So my schedule was a lot kind of jam packed on its own. And then obviously nighttime, that's when I finally hit the bed and it was lights out.
going into one of those questions of what they might have asked you. Why didn't you play football in high school? What was your story back then?
Oh man. So basically, long story short, I was raised by my mom, who I call my mom, but wasn't my birth mom. And I was in a way kind of adopted. I was raised in a separate household compared to my siblings. I'm the middle child of 8. I'm number 5, but because of the name that I carry and what I was named, I was placed in a home where my cousin, who was actually my mom, who I call my mom, raised me since I was an infant. And all things are good. All ties are still there with my parents and everything. I call them every day. I'm still close to my siblings. It was just an agreement and an understanding that I had to be the man of the house at a different household. And in that household, my mom wasn't a big fan of football. Like, I try to tell people that I had hoop dreams, but there were times where I tried to sneak into some meetings of football and try to, I wanted to play football bad, but my mom found out and she gave me a rip and a tear in certain places. So, football was not the path that God had intended for me at the time. And once high school was over and I was finally able to wear some bigger pants, and I put my foot down and said, "Mom, I think I have more opportunities to, supply and provide for you." And obviously we're seeing it, seeing how the story's unfolding, and I think it was a pretty good decision.
Playing basketball, did you always have that size, or when did you hit that growth spurt?
Oh yeah, I had the size coming into high school. My freshman year, I believe I was already 6'3", 6'4". So
That'll help.
that
I was
definitely helps.
5'6", man.
Yeah, so I already had the height. I mean, I was tall throughout my whole life, and I remember my whole life. My teachers would tell me like, "You're an early bloomer. You're probably gonna don't be surprised if you're shorter than some of these other kids." And as they grew, I grew. So it never really came to a point where I was shorter than anyone I thought over there. Obviously outliers like some really tall guys, but man, yeah, I've always really had that size.
You didn't allow a sack in 498 pass blocking snaps, posted the second best pass block grade by a tackle in the country, 86.7. You had a fantastic season. And especially, I mean, how tough was it trying to block with Mr. Mateer running around town, trying to extend the play? That's got to put a bit of a strenuous task on the O-line at times.
Man, shout out to my boy John, but yeah, I mean, if there's anyone that could really top him, it was Cam. So if there was anyone that was used to blocking for someone that was always trying to extend the play, it was us. We knew what we had our how our hands were, and like we just knew that the play was never really going to be a 3 second, 4 second time. Like I remember I got my first holding call of the season against New Mexico, and I believe it was New Mexico. The guy tried to shed outside, and obviously my hands. Once I have my hands on you, I'm not letting go. So he sheds 1 inch that way. John's taking off, and I try to let go, and I got the holding call, and I was just pissed out of my mind. But I can't be mad because 99 times out of 100, John's gonna make a play. So I don't want to ever change what he had going on, and we knew that we just had to change for him.
Yeah, so I guess kind of walk us through, you go play at junior college, you end up getting recruited by Washington State. How did that all happen? How was that junior year?
Man, so coming out of JUCO, I was ranked 41st in the country among JUCO players. So I got top 50, and the offers started flowing in. Obviously, my older brother, a Cougar legend of his own. Um, it just felt right to bring out dust off the old cool gear that we had piled up at the house and start wearing them again. And so I obviously made my commitment here. And that junior year was definitely a feel it out kind of year for me. And it was just the pace of the game and the pace of everything that happens off the field. Obviously in JUCO, I had a lot of help academically, and school wasn't the biggest worry of mine. But when I got to Washington State and I was given 16 units just to be on track for my degree, just to be able to play, and I'm like, and then I got to go to all these meetings, and no excuses. Obviously, there's a lot of guys that are doing the same, but coming out of JUCO, from not really worrying about anything but football to juggling all this, plus not being away from family and trying to uphold my religious life, like it was just a lot going on. And obviously with my second year I was able to adjust a lot better, just knowing what to expect. But that first year, it wasn't the year that I wanted, it wasn't the year that I knew that I could put on film, but it was definitely something that I needed, and something that I wouldn't change a thing about it. I think that year that I had was a year that I needed for sure.
It felt like it kind of molded you into the player that you became this final senior season.
I mean, yeah, pressure makes diamonds. So obviously, I just needed to be thrown in that fire. Coach thought that had starting ability coming out of JUCO, and I had big shoes to fill, and I knew that I didn't. My biggest thing, I just didn't want to let my team down, and I hated that feeling. So I knew that I needed to step up, and coming into this final year, that leadership role was definitely something that I had to take upon myself, along with the other guys. Obviously, Devin Claney, Falili Famoy, those guys are leading the pack, but a lot of these guys needed to see somebody just, it's easier for a leader to say to step up, but when the young guy sees someone step up, it's a lot different. So I just had to be that visual of someone that took initiative and stepped up.
You mentioned your older brother, Tony, he played from 2011 to 2014. So did he get 2 years of leash or just one?
I want to say too, because he got recruited in 2010, so he played that. I'm pretty sure he played that year with Leach. He used to tell me stories about it too, because
Yeah,
in
please.
JUCO,
Are there any good
yeah,
stories?
I mean, yeah, in JUCO we were definitely an air raid team. So, obviously the D line and the defenders are all like gassed because all we're doing is throwing the ball. So all they had to do was pass rush. And I remember my brother used to talk to them and turn around and be like, I was on the defense against the Cougar, so you don't y'all don't know about Mike Leach, but in practice, that's all we did. That's all we did was pass rush, and that's all we could do because this is what practice was. They were going to throw the ball 9 times out of 8 times. So, um, I mean, more stories. He used to talk about like guys like Hercules. He said that once he was done over there, those boys kind of went through his wardrobe and took all his Wazoo gear, and then kind of cleaned house on the big bro that was leaving. And I remember he told me that story, and just a lot of experiences that he had. He knew a lot of the places off the top of his head. Like when I brought up a spot, he was like, "Oh, this was that." At one time, he said he was a big fan of Jimmy John's. I said that was his
I was
spot.
talking about Mike's, Connor.
Yeah, Jimmy John's was definitely his spot, and yeah, just hearing some of the things that he was going through and some of the things that I was getting into, like it was a cool experience for me.
Did you attend any games up in Pullman while he was playing there, or did you see him down in California?
Yeah, so the stadium definitely felt a little nostalgic. I was young at the time, and memories come and go. But definitely, when I walked onto that field during my visit, I was like, man, I remember I was looking around. I was like, I feel like we were up there. Like I feel like this is where I was. And I remember we were watching the game, and I remember I was just up there dancing. And I'm pretty sure I think we were losing. We were losing, but I just didn't care because I was able to see my older brother out there balling out. So
So walk us through the senior year. There's a bit of turmoil that happened throughout the season. There's the transfer portal. There's this and that. Walk us through the season, how it transpired, and then once we get closer to the end of the season, eventually, the end of the regular season, and then stuff starts to happen.
yeah, I mean, before I even go into that, I couldn't be more proud of the guys that stepped up and the things we were able to put on tape. Obviously not the season that we wanted. We had a lot of hopes for the playoffs. Coug Nation, we're sorry we came up short, but just being with those guys coming out of the year that we had and knowing that we didn't want that to happen again. That losing streak that we had after that season, we all knew it happened. We all knew that feeling. We all knew what um what it was going to take to make sure that didn't happen again, and the steps that we took moving forward to the sessions that me and my boys had late night at the Chinook to the stadiums. If someone missed a rep, we all got to do another rep, like something like that. Like if someone had a misstep, someone jumped off sides, we all knew that we were all doing it again, and it wasn't a complaint about the rules. It was a come on, let's do it. Like we know we can do it, and we had good reps. Yeah, we would celebrate, but it was more like that was the standard to begin with. So that's not something we praise. We gotta if we're gonna uphold the standard, we don't praise upholding the standard. And early on in the season, obviously we were on a hot streak, taking down Portland State, and then big time Texas Tech, Josh Kelly back in town. We had to leave him with remind him what the Palouse was about. And I think we definitely did that. Moving on to UW, I think that was my favorite game just for the atmosphere, the fans, you could if you close your eyes, you couldn't tell who was home. And obviously no one was home, but we're in Seattle. You would think that they would have the upper hand, but man, Cougs brought it. Cougs brought it that day. It was times where I had to like, man, I can't even hear. Like I can't even hear my thoughts right now. And come out with that big win that's gonna go down in Coug history, obviously. And then we keep moving forward. San Jose State, that was a scary game. We went down to the wire. I'm pretty sure everyone was up for like 1 in the morning, just
Yeah.
trying to watch this game. The game that definitely taught us and showed us that we can persevere. I think we learned a lot from that game. I don't think the team that we had last year comes out of that game victorious. When things didn't look good or things looked down, I think the team that we had, we were we're big on belief. You know, we believe that we can come out of anything. We've been through a lot, and I think that was the game that kind of sealed the fate for us, that we knew we could believe. And then obviously Boise State, tough deal for us. They're kudos to them. I mean, their home advantage, man, is real. Like their atmosphere, even my family was taking videos of that atmosphere. Like it's just something that you don't really can't really paint in a picture, man. Um, they had a lot of good players, solid players, and moving forward from that, and then obviously just kind of the downhill fall that we had after. I mean, we won more games after that, and then but I think that's when the turn came with the transfer portal and, a lot of guys being present but not being there. I think just a lot of guys looking too far in the future. Um, you know, I knew where I stood, and I knew, it's easy for me to say because I'm a senior, like I'm gonna lay down for the Cougs. But if I'm hearing these things and hearing all these offers, putting my family in a good spot, and I'm hearing that mid-season, like I don't know what to say. I mean, at the same time, my family's been Cougs. I picked this school for a reason. I don't think I would have done anything with that, but I think that's when like that turn kind of came. And um, the thing I am really proud of is the guys that stuck it out. The guys, you can see who was really trying to be there and who wasn't. And I think the team that we had, though we had our ups and downs and our downfalls towards the end of the season, I think our team, one thing that we did do is we stuck together. I don't think there was any animosity in the locker room. I didn't feel any kind of way towards anybody, and I don't think anyone felt any way towards me. And I think we all believe that, that team that we had, the record's going to say whatever the record's going to say, but I think that was a special squad that we had. And I pray that every day that these guys that took a different route, come up on top for the choices that they made. And I believe they will, because at some point in their career they were a Coug, and it's something you can't get in other schools that you get here. And yeah, that's kind of how it went for me.
One thing too, you mentioned like folks are still going to remember the season. When it comes down to it, like the biggest thing, you guys won the Apple Cup. I mean, that's one way to staple and etch your name into the history books going forward. And yeah, hey, there was a bit of a tailspin, but it is nice to kind of hear from the inside perspective of, hey, guys were there, but they might not have been present. But the way you guys closed out the Holiday Bowl, I think, proved to everybody in Coug Nation that you guys were fighters this past season. I wanted to backtrack real quick to the East West Shrine Bowl and some of these interviews that you're getting. Are some of these NFL folks, scouts, whatever, are they asking you questions about like maybe Kyle Williams or Cam Ward? Like, were there any like weird? Because sometimes you get some weird questions from NFL teams.
Um, I don't think there were many much questions like particularly towards them.
Yeah, like as a
I
teammate or
did
this
bring up
or that.
Kyle. I did bring up Kyle a lot. They were saying like in this draft class, if there's one player you'd bring with you, who would it be? And I said Kyle, because I said, obviously he has all the attributes, but I think the biggest thing that I was proud of Kyle about was that he wasn't named a captain just like me, and he didn't take that as a jab at his name, but he took that as a challenge, and he became the leader in that room, and he stepped up and he showed not only on the field but off the field the things that needed to be done to play at a high level. And obviously he showed that. He showed that at the Senior Bowl. He showed that at the Combine. Like, I'm just so proud of what he was able to do. And not to say that he wasn't already, our first year coming into Wazoo, but just the leaps and bounds, just the same. I feel like I just can connect with him so well. And I did bring up Kyle's name a lot over there at the Shrine Bowl.
Do you feel like you have a chip on your shoulder at all with the NFL Combine not, inviting you out? Is there a little bit, to dig, little chip on the shoulder because of that?
I'd be lying if I wasn't irked a little bit. I'd be, I'm always trying
It's
to
a
be grateful
surprise.
for. Yeah, yeah, it was. I remember seeing an article that I was noticeably left out, and I think God has His intentions all the time. I think I've been left out of a lot of conversations. Coming out of JUCO, I didn't make All American. Um, coming out of this season, I wasn't, shout out to my boy Jared, aka Tank, but he was given the all Pac-2, honors of offensive line over me. So, the chip on my shoulder has always been something that I feel like God puts on my shoulder for a reason, because if I was given all my chips onto the table, I wouldn't have anything to fight for. I wouldn't have no hunger, and my hunger is always, I feel like I'm always starving for more, and I think that's because God is not giving me everything. And the combine, I watch the combine. I see a lot of the guys that I met at the shrine, and those are my boys. And obviously, I'm just picturing myself there with them, and enjoying that experience as well alongside those boys. But not being in the combine right now leaves a nasty taste in my mouth. Bitter feeling, bittersweet. But I think the sweetness in that bittersweet is the fact that I get to prove them wrong, and I get to go into like rookie mini camp and training camp, showing them like, you didn't invite this guy to the combine, and I'm just gonna keep walking and I keep doing what I've been doing since I started playing football.
All you can do now is prepare for the draft, and whoever signs you or drafts you, you can show them what you got. And with that being the case, what's your current workout routine look like? How many times can you throw up 225? What are some of those stats?
Right now, I'm sitting, around 25 reps. Long arms don't really help bench, so it's kind of. I'm just happy that as long as I stay above the 20s, I think I'm fairly good at that. My vertical, I want to say I'm close to 30. So basketball definitely helped with the bunnies a little bit. So
The funnies.
the bunnies are still there. Broad jump. I'm right under 9 feet? Is it feet? Yeah, 9 feet. Um, what else? 40 time. My goal right now is to be in the 5'1s. Um, right now I'm weighing in at 327, so I put on a little bit more mass. So if I could show these scouts that I can still move with this added mass, I think that'll be definitely help my case. And obviously the drills in my feet, that's something that I've had that I've worked on since basketball, if you want to say so. I think my feet have always been my upside, and athleticism has never been an issue. So I think that's pretty much the spill on that. Yeah.
All right, last question. This is a juicy one, but how did you feel about how things ended with Coach Dickert at Washington State?
I think it's kind of like the same way, like how I felt about certain players leaving and how players were present but not there. It's easy for a lot of people to say, how could you do this? How could you do this? But if you were given the same circumstances to the person next to you, do you believe that they would do the same thing or something different? And Coach Digger, man, I see him for the man that he is, and I always have respect for him because obviously, he recruited me, gave me this shot, and he's the reason why I'm even in the spot that I am to, uh, not only provide for myself, not only provide for my family, but potentially provide for my future family. And I'll always owe Coach Dickert that. So, if you were trying to get something something juicy out of me, I'm the wrong guy. You got to talk to somebody
Hey,
else because
that's
man,
fine.
yeah, Coach Dickert,
Appreciate
man,
that.
like
Yeah.
it's like you know, I think Wazoo is in a big rebuild right now. I think with the whole you're a head coach of a team. Boom, everyone in your conference leaves. Boom, all of a sudden money's not looking the way it should in NIL. Boom, you're losing all these players because you can't give them the money that they deserve. And then boom, you're given this opportunity to do all these things you couldn't do at a different school. Like you can't tell me that like someone else would have made a different decision. And I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but when people sully his name, it's yeah, I'm a diehard Coug too. Obviously, it hurt me too. Like but coming from a guy on the inside and knowing the struggles that he was given a lot of adversity, and a lot of guys would have. I think he did the best thing for him and his family. And when you're a father, when you're a family man, when you're trying to uphold a culture and you just don't have the tools for it, why not take a shot at something that could give you a better spot and put you in better shoes? Yeah, I mean, all in all, I have nothing bad nor amazing to say about Coach Diggert, but one thing I will say is he will always have my respect. So, yeah.
Love it.
Love that. And that's to be expected. You know, Esa, we appreciate you, jumping on with us. We're really looking forward to continue watching this journey up until April. Really looking forward to seeing that video of you with the family getting drafted. It's on the way, my man.
I'm praying for it every day, man.
Thank you. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Appreciate y'all.
Go Cougs.